Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
Tonight's topic, I'm just going to dive right in. Tonight's topic is sleeping, dating across political lines. I didn't want to. The reason I put this topic. So let me tell the story first, because I do want to tell this, and I think that I don't know that it's going to apply to either of us, but that doesn't mean we can't have opinions on it. Alex, this is definitely something that I'm going to want as an Instagram, just so you're clear. This story, and I want the full uncut version. So
naked, get naked for this one. It's worth it.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, my eyes burning. There's a little smoke in the house from my wife cooking.
All right. So maybe a month ago, I was having a conversation with a coworker, and that's what kind of gave me the idea for this episode. She was telling me that a friend of hers is on a dating website, and he's Christian, but he's liberal. And he was talking with a woman who was definitely a Trumper, was very conservative. And she was like, I just can't believe that. Can you believe that, Michael? And I was like, I'm assuming she's really attractive, but let me see the picture. Do you have a picture of her? And she showed me the picture, and I was like, yeah, she's fucking smoking hot. She's so attractive. And she goes, oh, that's so disgusting. And I'm like, look, okay, it's not typical that I think it's a man, like as a man, we have the luxury, the privilege of being able to date outside of like a feeling of safety, right? So that doesn't apply to us as much. I said, but when you're looking at someone that's that attractive, you and you're single, you owe it to yourself to go for it if they're willing. And then her and another coworker were talking to me about it, and they were kind of getting grossed out. And I was like, well, you also have to keep in mind, like, you guys are young, you're mid-20s. Maybe you can change her mind about some topics. I said, I'll tell you, if she gave me a shot, I could definitely make her pro-choice. And the two of them looked disgusted. And, oh, Matthew, you froze, so I don't get your reaction. Oh, you didn't freeze? You just didn't have a reaction.
It doesn't have a reaction.
Me knocking up a conservative woman and having her wanting a bobo didn't do it for you.
Nope. I think that it's creepy that you just look at someone and judge them by their physical appearance.
Okay, you're telling.
I don't judge you by your physical appearance, obviously.
I'm not I'm. All right. We have two people watching. Hopefully one of them's not Sarah. Sarah has heard the story. Anyway. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to burn you so badly. I forgot you're Irish. You burn easy.
I'm like very little bit. I'm a quarter Irish? No, I don't even think I'm a quarter. I think I'm
yeah, you're Irish, Jewish, Italian, mutt. You burn easy.
Yeah, Scottish. A lot of Scottish.
Scottish is crap.
Anyway, so now that I've told the story that makes me sound like a pig to most of our audience, and apparently
to most of our organization, yeah.
Now that I've told that, let's dive in a little bit on the topic. On more so dating than fucking, but we can go whatever direction you want on there.
Yeah, by the way, can we talk about your privilege for a second?
Sure.
Your men don't have to worry about like a position of safety. You talk like someone who's never gotten drunk and woke up after being pegged.
Yeah, but I like being pegged.
Oh, okay, that's why you're not afraid. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so we had that conversation. Then I was watching. Have you ever seen the show Hacks on HBO?
No.
I do think you would like it. It's one of those shows where the comedy's not quite as good as it should be, but otherwise it's really good. A good show. Like it's about comedians, so like you know.
Oh, they hacks, and that's why it's not as good as it should be.
No, but like sometimes when they're acting like it's really good, and it's like, it's good, it's decent. But
Yeah,
there was an
it's like
episode
sex.
recently with Christina Hendricks, and she's hooking up with the one of the two main characters, who's also a redhead. It was redhead on redhead action, so I blacked out for a little bit. But when that was happening, she eventually realized she says something, and the girl the young the main character of the show goes, "Oh no, I'm not a caddy. I just am doing this for my boss or whatever." And they realize, quickly that they're each on the opposite ends of the political spectrum. And she goes, "I can't believe it." And Christina Hendricks goes, "I can't believe I was going to piss on you." And she goes, "You were not going to piss on me." And she goes, "Oh, I thought you liberals were all about freedom. You don't want to do, and now you're kink shaming me." And she goes, "No, I would let a socialist piss on me, just not you." So anyway, I think I know the answer for you. But have you dated across the political spectrum?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't dated in 40 years.
That's yeah.
And the political spectrum wasn't so bad back then. It was, do you like taxes?
It
You
was
know,
it was Reagan. It was Reagan era, so it was
right,
differently
right.
bad.
But Reagan era, and I was a teenager, so like our knowledge of things wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
but but that being said, thinking of the people that I hooked up with slash dated, and most of them were part of the folk music scene, so they were mostly. I'm guessing they were probably all liberals. I mean, I'm trying to think of the few that I'm still in touch with, like on Facebook and stuff. People, girlfriends I had that I'm still on Facebook, they're all liberal. So I probably haven't,
Hmm.
like, unless there was like someone I met at a party who I'd never see again. This a girl who left a note at my door saying, "I don't know if you remember me. I don't think I told you my name, but we hooked up a couple of weeks ago. Here's my name and number if you want to call." And my wife's like, I was dating my wife by that point, and she's like, "Rip. Like, what are you ripping that up for? I might need it." It's like, nope. So we ripped the note we found on my apartment door. So I don't know what that girl's name was because not that you ripped up the note, but I don't know what her political standing was. But
Gotcha.
otherwise, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, again, it wouldn't have been as bad back in the old days because it wasn't like Trump, where it's like,
Yeah.
people who will say, well, I'm not, just because I vote Republican doesn't mean I support all those values. And I'm like, yeah, but it means they're not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
you know, like that's the same thing. People will say, I believe in all those social issues, but I vote my wallet. I'm like, well, that's what it means to be Republican, that you don't care about the social issues because your wallet's more important. And you're stupid enough to think that you would do better under a Republican than a Democrat when that's never been the case, unless you're a multi-millionaire getting tax
If you had been at Skepticamp, you would have seen,
but I was off making money like a capitalist.
like, yeah. It's Skepticamp, and I forget which speaker it was, but one of them said it was definitely not me, because this is like statistical information and like had like facts and logic behind it. They said that if you look at where people think the economy has been, you give them a year and you say, okay, what about during this period of time? How do you think the economy was, or polled them at the time? Uh, you it, the red it's Republicans. Economy is really good during the Bush era. It's coming back up from the Clinton era, and then it drops for Obama, and then back up for Trump, and then drops for Biden, and then they give you the opposite. And it's part, and not to say that there isn't some parts of the economy that are empirical, but like the perception of the economy is always, oh, I think that this person's going to do a good job, and then I convince myself that they're going to do a good job. So sorry, sorry for the tangent. Anyway, I have not when I've been single, or I haven't been single in 14 years. So you 40 for you, 14 for me. Um, but when I was single, I don't think I dated anybody.
Really, I should say it was 37. So I was rounding up.
Yeah, nice.
August will be 37 years since I met Nazi.
She in the
So
room right now?
no, one of the cats is though.
Oh, the way you're looking is like,
No, 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 she would have had him in the room for 10 minutes, like since I said it.
yeah. Um, yeah. So yeah, I I don't think I've dated. So here's the weird thing. I have switched teams on politically. So when I first
Make sure that's clear.
I don't care if anybody thinks I'm bi
Well,
or
just you're telling the wrong story though.
no. So when I first started dating, I think I was dating conservative ish girls. So it's my first girlfriend is conservative. It was like not a real girlfriend. Like we only dated for 2 weeks, and there was like 2 kisses, and that was it. So it wasn't a big deal. But like when we started getting into real relationships, most of them are I don't know their political stances on much except for abortion rights. Is basically it. And I was pro life at this point in time, but I dated girls who were pro choice. And I was aware of that. And so that's like the biggest thing to dating across political lines. Because, I mean,
That'd be
like,
interesting when if it became an issue. It's like you'd be
yeah,
like, I don't, you're killing my child versus hell, I got a date on next Friday, so I need to. Yeah.
yeah. I've, so that was the big one. I would say that I was never homophobic, or at least not actively homophobic. I'm sure I did like little microaggression kind of homophobias, homophobic comments and stuff. But like I never, you know what I'm saying?
I just think I need to appreciate that you did homophobias.
Homophobias, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you
Um,
got to do a homophobia, a light homophobia.
just a little one. No, but I was never like intentionally homophobic or like grossed out by gay people or any of those typical hallmarks of homophobia. Hallmarks of Homophobia is actually the name of Candace Cameron Burr's channel, by the way. Uh,
Say it's one of my favorite cable channels.
um, but so in that way, but I also don't. I'm trying to think. I know that I dated one girl who made some really shitty comments about a gay person, but I think that was just because she was a bad person, not because she was homophobic. Because she also said some fat phobic shit about him, and so like I think she was just a bad person. Um, and I didn't stay with her for much longer than that, like maybe a couple days after that happened. So that's not why I broke up with her. To be fair, to not like make myself sound like, oh, she said something homophobic and I broke up with her. No, like I broke up with her because she was bad and it affected in ways that affected me. I was, you know. Anyway, there's a little bit of trauma dump for you. So I back to
Yeah. So in a modern era, I can't imagine dating anyone across political lines. I can't imagine being a close friend with someone in the modern era where being a Republican means either being a Nazi or thinking it's fine that the people I vote for are Nazis. Like, I mean, that's the two choices. It's like I am a hate-filled bigot, or I don't consider myself a hate-filled bigot, but I don't mind that the people I vote for are hate-filled bigots and will do hate-filled bigotry because I like one other thing they're going to do.
yeah. Okay, so just to be a little sensitive to our producer, like maybe we don't talk shit about Nazis today. Um, I
I mean,
called I called him a Nazi like 4 times at work today. I also called him. We went to lunch for a coworker's birthday, and my boss was there. And he said something about his. Alex said something about his dog, and I said, "So you're a fur daddy?" And it started the most uncomfortable conversation at work. I'm going to spend some time this weekend with my dad. So for Father's Day. No, I. What were we saying? Oh, the yeah, yeah,
you were saying that Alex likes to kill Jews.
So the friendship with someone
Yeah.
on the opposite side,
And
I
because right now to me it's ethical and philosophical more than it's political, which side of the aisle you're on these days.
yeah,
If you're on a side of the aisle,
true.
some people can be balancing somewhere else, and but I'm saying, but if you're saying across the aisle, it's dead.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that there is any? Maybe we can go to a different time in U.S. history, so that we're not at the most divided time in anybody's lifetime,
Right, like I
basically.
said, like when I was a kid, I don't know that it was as big of a deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it was always, I guess, it would have been kind of big for me, like like I don't like if it was important to somebody. Obviously, I was raised by hippies.
yeah,
My parents were at the first Earth Day. They're folk. My dad's a folk musician. They owned a coffee house, not a coffee shop, but a coffee house, like where poets and you know, beatnik poets and folk musicians played. So I was raised super super liberal, even for the time, kind of thing.
yeah,
And so I don't know how somebody who was on the other side would personality wise want to be with me. So
yeah,
so but yeah, but I don't. But I have friends who were Republican then, but like now it's like I unfollow them on Facebook. I didn't unfriend them because I don't want to give up a 50-year friendship, but I don't see their posts
yeah.
because it disgusts me to think that they're that gullible.
I was gonna say, I made the argument when I was having that conversation with the two coworkers, and I don't know that I believe it. I just made it because I was playing devil's advocate and stuff. But uh, the idea of it is, especially again, this is a privilege point. But like, is it? And I don't think for dating as much maybe as friendship, but is being left around somebody who is right a good thing that could potentially help bring them away from negative, the bad side, the dark side.
Maybe. I mean, I got obviously, I work in an environment that has people, so
Yeah,
I don't like not associate with people, because I don't quiz the political stance and then not associate with them.
yeah,
I just, they're not going to become my best friend, my buddy. There's
yeah,
only, I mean, one of the things I always say about people you work with, like, you only have friends at work is if they're your friends after you leave that company. You worked with me for 6 months. We're still together because we're friends.
yeah,
If people who you don't talk to after you leave uh, you weren't friends with, you were friendly associates at work.
yeah. What if one of those people becomes the producer of your podcast and you haven't finished working with them yet?
I mean, there's a certain amount of using someone for the fact they'll work for free.
I was trying to make it that because I think of Alex as my friend, and you had
No,
to
I'm
make it
saying
something dirty and disgusting.
no. I'm saying I should say you don't know if someone's your friend until
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have that separation to see are you still like as people like I came back to my old company and there's people I'm get back and we hug and we're like, oh my god, I missed you so much. It's like, but we didn't. We went out together once or twice after I left, and it's been 9 years. So are we really friends, or are we just really friendly at work versus people you're not friendly at work with?
yeah, yeah,
Like there's work spouses, there's work friends. Like you're a work friend. There's people you go like if you say, hey, let's go out and get drinks, let's get wings, let's go out hang out afterwards, let's get together on Saturday. That's a sign you're actually friends. If it's just, hey, when we're in the office, you're the one I talk to because I like you more than the person one desk over. Eh,
yeah,
let's say being friends on Facebook. Just because you use the word doesn't mean you got the emotion.
yeah.
So I don't mind like having being friendly working environment with people who are not um
C's
not goose stepping.
nice. Um, yeah, I want to talk about the privilege thing. I know that you made the pegging joke, but I do think, and again, I think this is a point of privilege, but like I and when I say that point of privilege, to me it becomes a point of a level of responsibility that I think can come with the privilege, but for the idea of and again with dating or but like but or friendship or whatever with people across the aisle, like us being very vocal about, very open about who we are, whether it's atheism or me being bipolar or our political side of the aisle and like our belief systems. I think that those are when you are cis white het, uh, person who is relatively safe. It's kind of important, like to get out there and represent. That being said, I also realize that it's not safe for some people to do those things, and so like I'm not trying to push that. I'm just and again, dating on that responsibility is crazy to me. Like that, the idea of like you don't have to date somebody with the hope that you're gonna like make them see that your side of the aisle or whatever is good. But like I think that being and when you
So
say
I don't know. Have I told my Ku Klux Klan story on the show before?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell my Ku Klux Klan story. One of them. The last week of class at NC State, I think my junior year. Yeah. Um, one of my fraternity brothers comes over to me drinking, like it's after a party
I've
drinking.
heard it. I don't know if it's been on the podcast, but I know what you're
Yeah.
about to say. Yeah, go
So
ahead, keep
he
going. I,
yeah, so he goes to me, he goes, Cravat, you have fucked my shit up. I was like, what? He's like, you're a good fucker. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, so let me explain, let me explain. My pappy's in the Klan. My brother's in the Klan. My uncles are in the Klan. All my friends are in the Klan. He's from Smithfield, North Carolina, which used to have a sign on Highway 70. The Ku Klux Klan welcomes you to Smithfield. Like when I was in school in the
jeez,
80s. When I was in school in the
Jesus.
late 80s, it had that sign. Like not like in the 60s, but in the late 80s, it had that sign.
But
And
their
it turns out in the
fried chicken
60s
is
too.
so good.
No, no, it wasn't the store, it was the town. I'm not blaming the restaurant. And but it was literally everyone he knew, like it was. Well, they were all like Klansmen, and he goes. He told me he assumed he would come here, come to Raleigh, get an education, graduate. He was majoring in like medical science type things, and then go home and get a good job in Smithfield or around Smithfield, and be in the Klan and have the same. That's the social life that everybody had. And then he goes, "But you're a good fucker." And I met black guys who were good fuckers, and Spanish guys, people from other countries, and fuck, everyone I know is wrong. And
Yep.
like literally, the what the right wing hates, right? Went to college and there's liberal influences, and now he's not a racist anymore. And he was, you know, he I'm sure he did a lot of homophobias, like and in the day, but like, he was a casual racist. I'm sure. I mean, I never heard him say anything racist, but growing up, I'm sure he was
Yeah.
because that's what everyone was. And I transferred to NC State, so he'd already been here 3 years by the time I met him. I was only like the last his senior year, so or maybe his junior and senior. I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time. But yeah, but there was a thing about he literally being around other people taught him that what he had been taught growing up could not possibly be right. Um, and so to your point, yeah, definitely exposure therapy helps
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
in some
Uh,
cases at some ages. I don't know if it helps a 50-year-old who's already had all the exposure they're ever going to have, and it's not, and they're already where they are, or maybe it's just a harder sell. But it's
so I know I've told you this story before. I don't know if I've told it on the podcast, but uh, my
for those of
Nate,
you who haven't listened to every single episode, this is an opportunity to catch up.
yeah. So my neighbor, when I was growing up, she was from pretty sure Mississippi, and she was the really nice hippie kind of person. She her father and mother would come visit for Christmas every year, but her father was like very allergic to their dog. So she had asked if he could stay at our house. And so he did. My parents were like, yeah, you can absolutely stay, and got along great with this guy who's a really nice guy. And then my parents would have a Christmas party for the neighborhood, and the day after the Christmas party, which was probably the 27th or whatever, we he was sitting there with my dad, and I don't know that I was supposed to hear this, but he said to him, because my dad, one of our neighbors that my dad was basically one of my dad's best friends, in the neighborhood was a black guy, and he said, I talked to your neighbor, blah blah blah, and
It's a weird name.
and yeah, I know. I knew you were going to make a comment on it, and I was like, I'm not going to throw a fake name out there. So he said, I talked to him at the party yesterday, and he goes, I had never really talked to a black man before, other than like in a service position. And he goes, and he goes, and I had always, I like knew that raising my daughter who his daughter was my parents' age. So this man was probably 5 years older than my grandfather, so he's probably like in his mid-90s if he's still alive now. And he goes,
So
I
he's
knew
probably not listening.
that'd be crazy as hell if he was listening. Uh,
I
and
love
he
the podcast.
and he said I, uh, I I knew it was not a great thing, so I never raised my daughter to be like that. But I I never talked to a black man, never had a conversation with a black man before. And if I had had a conversation with a man like him earlier, I think that I wouldn't have so much of what I have in me, meaning like the racism, like the in you know, and it was he said
It's
he's a man
it's
born in the late 20s, early 30s in Mississippi. Like it is to be expected to some extent. Like, and it's not a good thing, but it's to be expected. And he was like
I think it's to be understood more than expected.
understood,
But
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so he and I think that like he had a nice conversation because he was trying to be polite and not be rude at the party. And I think he realized like, oh, this guy's a great, like, this guy was one of like the the black man was one of the like the best
Mr.
adults.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he was one of the best adults that I knew, and like one of my
It's just one of the best adults I knew is a weird phrase.
well, I mean, like, you know what I
I
mean,
know
like,
some good adults, but he's one of the best adults.
no, he was just like a good, really good dude. Like I don't know.
An adult.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. Other than my family and some teachers, like the
And
adults
now
I
you're
knew.
downplaying it. He's not that great. I mean, I didn't know that many adults. He's okay. But from the small, limited amount of adults I knew, he was a good one. Like he never beat me like my father, so he was good in that way. You know.
Oh, the fire has started. I was trying to switch it to the lightning mode so that I could be like, oh, breaking up. Anything to change the subject. So you're okay. Who's your dream celebrity?
Who's my? I don't drink.
Sexual. Who would you fuck? Who's the woman on earth that you don't have a shot with?
I'm a married man.
Who other than your wife is your dream celebrity?
I don't have one anymore. I'm old. When I was younger, it was, and this is not an answer that anyone else gave
Jamie
me.
Gertz.
Jamie Gertz, of course.
If Jamie Gertz came to you and she was like, "Here's the deal, Matthew."
I guess everyone who liked Lost Boys would say that too. But I was into her before Lost Boys. Would say Square Pegs. I was into her in a weird way, and then Solar Babies was the big one, and then you know
If she came
Lost
to
Boys.
you
Yeah,
and she was like, "Matthew, I know that you're a liberal, and I
you're gonna tell
vote
me Jewish Jamie Gertz in Hollywood's a conservative? Screw you. Screw you.
Jared Kushner.
She's got a she's not in Hollywood. She's a
He's a New
double.
York Jew.
She's a double.
Anyway, so she comes to you and she's like, Matthew, I voted for him twice. I'm gonna vote for him a third time, but I really, really want some lib dick. Can I get some lib dick? And Madhavi's okay with it. Madhavi's like, yeah, it's your
You
dream.
have you met Mal? I thought you met her.
or maybe Madhavi doesn't exist, or whatever, like the case is in this. Whatever it takes to get it. You're telling me you're not hooking up for the night.
Well, you said dating before, and that's different than hooking up,
Well,
right?
yeah, but the initial story, the one that you made me feel bad for, I was not talking about a relationship.
I know you're still not talking about relationship. It's still not in the way
I was
my
talking
mind
about
works.
talking about Nutton and Bolton. So, answer the question.
I it's hard for me to think in the terms of just nutting and bolting in at my age with like it would have to be like we were at an orgy and we ran into each other in one of the rooms and said, "You want to hook up?" Because I can't imagine spending an evening with someone in intimate conversation leading up to a sexual event if they started with, "By the way, I vote for Nazis." So that would be make it a tough place to start.
Okay, what about the Nazi from Indiana Jones? As the character, she could.
I mean, I had the same weaknesses as the next man.
She
Uh,
she talks in her sleep.
I watched the next man, Dad.
Oh, that's so gross, that part. Anyway, still not going to answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to put myself in
This
that
is the
hypothetical.
most uncomfortable and speechless
Yeah,
I've ever had you.
it's hard for me to put myself in that thing because I don't think of people in those terms anymore. I guess if it was we ended up in the blue room at the orgy, I wouldn't care what our politics were. But if it was, hey, I want to spend the evening with you, and then after a bottle of wine, we're gonna hook up. I'm like, I don't know that I want to spend an evening with you. Let's just skip to the end.
Okay, fair.
Again, because so much around left and right now is ethics and philosophy and
Yeah.
lack of empathy. It's not just like, I mean, if you want to talk about tax brackets, fine. You want to talk about like what's the best structuring of the government is one thing. But if
No, no,
it's,
no. I'm
hey,
talking.
here's who's a person and not who's not a person, that's a hard conversation to get past.
So here's my other argument that I made in that hypothetical with my coworkers, and that is if if you feel like, oh, a conservative who is a Trumper and is like, feels that certain people aren't human and is all the bad things that we think that they are, they deserve punishment, right?
So
And
they should sleep with you.
what bigger punishment is there than lowering them to the level where they have chosen to consensually have sex with me? That's about as low as you can go.
I'm with you there. I get it. It's going to have to be from behind because I don't want to look in your face while we do this.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Your tramp stamp has a swastika. Right? This is not good.
Like honestly, if I was single and Tommy Lauren was like, okay, I'd be like, all right, I'm doing this for all liberals. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna real.
Have a liberal baby, you anti-abortion bitch.
Here's a couple things. First of all, there's the chance that I'm the best she's ever had. In which case, she's like, oh shit, what if they're better lovers? Because I think
The
conservatives.
revenge of the nerds theory.
Is it? This is going to be a good episode for the patrons.
All jocks think about is sports. All nerds think about is sex.
I've seen the movie, but it's been a long time. Anyway,
Everyone in the non-patron feed just heard us anyway and don't know what they missed in the last 5 minutes. But it
yeah,
involved something like finger painting.
yeah, yeah. Simba,
Simba,
Simba.
Simba, or more like Simba does Charles Manson. Simba.
Yeah, it's I think this is my masterpiece.
You inglorious bastard.
Anyway, um,
Anyway,
what about so not that we have to go into it too far because we want to talk about politics, but
so
was when you started dating Madhavi, she was religious, so what about
um, she was
religious-ish?
religious is a strong word.
Okay.
She was practicing Hindu, but she was always a science-minded person and a questioner and didn't and like not she was never a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
She believed like a reformed Jew believes Judaism. She, at a high level, this is my religion, but she didn't like think all the things happen and demons were fighting gods with people around her.
This is a really stupid question, I'm sure, and you're going to probably make fun of me. Are there Hindu fundamentalists in today's day
Oh,
and age?
sure. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I wasn't aware.
I mean, fundamentalists might not be the same connotation of like believing things word for word the same kind of way, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
people who believe the thing. Like would say, oh, they found archaeological sign of underwater of this reef, and that is the bridge that connected the Magic Island. And yeah, there's people who do that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there's there's people who are like traveling like yogis in India, especially. Like there's skeptic groups in India who debunk religious leaders in India, and one
Yeah.
of them was murdered, and the government has never looked into it, like on TV, like famously murdered, like a million witnesses, and the government has never followed up because he was anti-religious, so who cares? Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, so definitely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the other issue is what if you're dating someone or you have the relationship and then you find out. So they're not coming
Sure.
to you at the orgy and and saying, "Hey, I'm a conservative. You want to take a trip up the Hershey Highway?" They it's so like I won't go into details 'cause my daughter won't want me to go details, but she did date someone at one point who after they dated for like a month or two said, "Oh, by the way," finally told her, I should tell you the truth. I've been lying. I'm a Republican like my parents are." Like he said, my parents are Republican, but I'm not. And this is like in high school, not a serious thing or anything like that. And she was like,
Yeah.
"Well, goodbye." But it's like, but it was like because he was being dishonest more than anything else. I mean, but like he was going to her activism things just to go with her, not because he believed in any of it. And she felt like I need someone who believes what I believe, so she
Yeah.
didn't want to date him. But even that was just high school stuff.
So
But I
that
can't imagine now that she would get serious enough with someone to date them without knowing where they stood. It's too
yeah,
important to her.
yeah. I was gonna say I think that the dishonesty is a problem. But I think there it depends on the kind of conservative, I suppose. Like if like, oh, I think that there should be tax cuts for the wealthy, and I wouldn't vote for Trump though because he's a psycho or whatever. Then
I think that's
like
the key. Yeah, but what are
yeah,
you voting for is the
but
key.
like
Are you voting
that
for Mark Robinson, who's a psychopath in North
yeah
Carolina, because you want a Republican to win, or like because where do you make the final call? Like, yes, I'm going to put him in charge, even though he's a
yeah
misogynist, anti-Semitic, and somehow anti-black, even though he's black. You
yeah
know, or are you just like, yeah, I believe in small government and all these classical Reagan things,
yeah
then trickle down, which obviously never worked, but somehow I still believe in it.
yeah
But I won't go as far as to vote for these people.
yeah.
That's
So
definitely
so yeah, and but I think that's why I can see a little bit. I wouldn't say lying outright, but maybe just not volunteering the information at first. Um, like I would imagine, there's situations whether I would imagine that the most comparable thing is if you're a trans person and you're dating, you're maybe not being like every single date being like I'm trans just so you know
yeah. When's the
because
point where you say I'm trans? When's the point that you say I have a kid? When's the point you
yeah.
say that I voted for Trump?
The kid's a good one too. I didn't think of that, but like where where's and I'm not saying the voted for Trump, but like
Right.
I
No, but
wanted
yeah,
I
people
like
don't have a
this.
right to know your life story on date one, but at
Yeah,
some point you don't want to go too far before saying, "Here's my life story."
right. Yeah,
And again, privilege point, we don't have to worry about that because
right.
we're not in that
Exactly.
situation anymore. I mean, like I don't like not that I have anything like that to share, other than like if I started, if I, buried Madhavi in the backyard and I was dating someone at one point, I have three adult children
Yeah,
and three cats that are buried in the backyard with mom. Um, but uh, but like I don't have to worry about like when would I expect someone to tell me that? It's not even a question.
yeah,
Like when does it become dishonest that you haven't shared? Like you don't owe it to them on date one, but when is it
yeah,
something like this has become a relationship and I don't know this about you?
yeah.
But also, shame on you for thinking you're in a relationship where you don't know that much about a person yet. That it's just we've had fun together chatting, over tapas at Mateo's.
Mateos,
Yeah, it's a tapas place in Durham, North Carolina. It's really good.
nice. Yeah,
Alton Brown says it's the best on the East Coast.
nice. That's good to know.
Mm.
Yeah, Alex, if you're listening right now, Matthew and I talked about Mateo earlier about the fact that you know the owner.
So my favorite thing at Mateo's is that a lot of I mean, a lot of the stuff is very good at Mateo's. Let me just say I don't think I had anything there that the three times I've been there that wasn't
I
amazingly good.
I
But the
love
best
every
thing
topless
was
restaurant I've ever been to.
tapas, not topless, tapas.
Topless
Um,
tapas is my favorite though.
and but there was they had
Pepperoni, pepperoni.
beef beef jam bone marrow. So you get a bunch of slices of crostini, little toasted bread,
Mhm.
fucking femur. It's like a bone of a cow, and with a groove in it filled with bone marrow, and then like like a cooked down beef jam on top of the bone marrow, and you spread the marrow and the jam onto the crostinis.
Yeah.
It's like beef on beef on beef. It's like the most intense beefosity. Amazing.
See, there you are. You're sounding just like a Republican.
Hey,
Meat on meat on meat.
I can speak the language. I'm
Yeah.
have to be able to infiltrate like I did Memorial Day weekend.
Nice. Should we start wrapping it up?
Sure, if you want to rap, go ahead and rap.
All right. By the way, Logan and his two friends at After School have started a rap trio called Peanut, Butter, and Jelly. Logan is peanut, one friend is butter, and one friend is jelly.
Peanut butter jelly time.
And I said, well, yeah, and that's the first rhyme that they're doing is starting off with that. But and I told Logan, I said, "You're peanut," and he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "So you're the nutty one?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "And butter's smooth?" And he goes, "Yeah." And jelly's sweet? And he goes, "Yeah."
And together you are wild stallions.
All right, so why don't you tell all of our only YouTube live viewers?
Hey, if you're watching our video on talkingaboutthebigstuff.com, it's really a feed from YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, then you know what? While you're there on YouTube, go ahead and like the video. It just helps us. You being a good person by helping us, And go ahead and make a comment. Make a comment in the video. That helps us too. Even if it's just, hey, I watched this video and you guys don't know what you're talking about. Beautiful. It helps us. And don't you want to be a good person? Don't you want to help us? Or are you a Republican? Is that what you're saying? I think it's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead and subscribe to the channel just so you can, know all these wonderful pearls of wisdom when they drop. Ring the bell, and then when we go live, you'll
You could
actually know we're
even
going live. Yeah. So like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, clang, clang, clang went the trolley, and that's all the stuff we ask you to do on video, or share the video. Share, look for our video shorts. Go to Instagram and look for our what do they call it? Their reels, stories,
reels,
videos, whatever it is.
and we're
Go
on
look for our stuff.
TikTok and
We're everywhere on the Tickety Talks, TikTok, Tickety Talk. We're under this. We're under exit interviews. We do little comedy things on there. Check us out, baby.
okay, great.
And all that for free because I'm not asking for nothing.
But if you're listening to us and not watching us, if you're listening to us, you can go on to your app of choice and give us a like, a thumbs up, a plus, or whatever a star rating, whatever whatever your way of your app's way of saying I like the show is, and that would be great. You can write us a review and you tell us whatever you think about the show. That would be all amazing. If you wanted to support in a non just thumbsing up stuff way, you can give us money, and the way that you can do that is you can get these episodes early on Apple Podcasts. $1 for 4 episodes a month minimum, and that's 4 days early. And if you if you don't want to use Apple Podcasts, you can go on patreon.com/talking about the big stuff. And there we have 3 options for you. We got that $1 option 4 days early. We have the $3 version, which gets you some extra spice on the sandwich. And then we got the $10 version, which is, I really thought you were going to go dirtier with your hand gesture there. $10 is where we cut out all the stuff that Matthew does that are just fucking crazy.
Which was a good third of this episode, Frank.
Yeah. Like this episode was 15 minutes if you're listening from the regular feed, but if you're a patron, it was actually like 45 or 50. And starting a couple weeks ago, we started adding the uncut versions of the video. Or not uncut. I cut like ums and ahs out, but like all of Matthew's.
You got to see my finger gestures.
Yeah, all of Matthew's.
Got to see me taking a nap.
All of Matthew's filthy jokes and stuff, and Matthew's silliness. Yeah, that one is gonna get blurred again. Sarah laughs so hard when I'm like, Sarah, come watch this before I blur it, and she's like, what the fuck? And she laughs so hard.
I let that person near my child.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I figured out something. I don't know. All right.
Oh,
So
also, if you sign up on the patreon.com/ talking about the big stuff, you can have a parasocial relationship with us and you can chat. There's a comment board there. So you can make comments about an episode just like you could on the YouTubes and we could reply. So we
yeah,
can tell you.
and you can follow on Patreon for free. Like you don't have to be one of the paid subscribers
Yeah, you
there.
could just use that as your source of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All
So
right.
Matthew, what do you,
I got nothing except to say I want to thank you guys for coming by today to listen to us talking about the big stuff as long as you do it from this side of the aisle, motherfucker.
I know that we have other people on the other side of the aisle listen to the podcast, and so I appreciate you as well.
They didn't listen this far into this episode.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.